whatever you want to call it. They got you. Okay, you have to pay it if you want to live, keep living. So it's very powerful. I don't have any objection to market manipulation and price fixing when it comes to luxury items. Have to it, have fun, but they know they can't get away with it because they know we don't need that crap. Trinkets, knickknacks, gadgets, luxury items, yachts, jets, fancy cars, fancy jewelry. We don't need none of that crap. Fancy accessories. We don't need none of that crap, right? Wristwatches, on and on, right? All day long, we could talk about luxury items. But they have marginal success. Just like we know there's warehouses full of diamonds, so we could all be walking around with pockets full of diamonds if we wanted to. Supply and demand. I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, free market. What was 2008 when the government, the government upset? We've got to subject that to definition. What is the government? Okay. Well, the reality is in America, the government is you and I. It's we, the people, as a whole collective. That's it. It is not a tiny minority, some 10%, of Americans that think that the bailout of '08 was okay, that the government made the right move, and they're smarter than the people, 90+% of the American people that were opposed to it. That is not free market, my friends. Nothing could be further from the truth. Nothing could be more diametrically opposite than free market supply and demand capitalism than the 2008 bailout. Let's be very clear. All we've had is crony capitalism in America since they murdered JFK. I'm sorry to have to inform you of that, but everybody that's made their fortune during this period, this last 5.5 decades, has been a part of this. And you know what? You got to understand, it doesn't make you stronger, smarter, or better than anybody else that you've succeeded. It's kind of the opposite. Because the nicest people out there are ones that see this. They say, listen, what you guys are talking about me delving into here with this capitalism you call in America, free market in America and all this crap, you're telling me, through empirical evidence, overwhelming empirical evidence, just being able to observe what's been going on. I mean, like the 2008 bailout, this cucking of America. How do we stand for this crap? The housing cost of living would have gone way down. That tax would have gone way. There would have been what's in capitalism a huge market correction there. So just understand, I get overwhelmed with talking about this because it's so evident to me how we've been ripped off. But you've got to understand that this is tyranny. This is tyrannical. This is burden on people. But what you're trying to do here is you're trying to tell me that the trick is that yes, the game is a big fraud and it's a big bandwagon of idiots. But we're the strong ones, and we're the ones that are survivors because we got the money. We're just like the evildoers. They've got the power of the money, and now we've got it. So it's something, it's a tool, and we use to balance. I hear Alex Jones talk about this all the time, and he's doing pretty good for himself. He's always talking about how he could have made multi-millions in just a gig here and a gig there working for the New World Order and how he's turned it down and this virtue signaling and all this. And well, that's fine. I mean, I'm good. I'd probably brag about it too if somebody had offered me these millions of dollars and I turned it down. But it hasn't happened. And I don't care. I really don't. I wish that my ways were so pleasing to the Lord that even my enemies lived at peace with me. Is that going to stop me from saying what's on my mind? No. Just like I started this video, I talk about free speech. I've got to get it off my chest. I've got to be true to myself. That's it. I've got to be God's friend and represent him and reflect him properly as best I can. He's given me the wherewithal, and he has given me the urge, the compulsion, the I need to do this thing, to speak out. And I do it for myself because it is selfish at the end of the day. I am rewarded because I get things off my chest. And if I can do any little thing and contribute to make this world a better, more livable place, then I'm going to get rewarded. That's how it works. That's how an egalitarian thinks. An egalitarian is a beautiful thing. You're either an egalitarian, which is, to me, just a good American, or you are an anti-egalitarian. You believe in something less than equality. You believe that a little elitism is okay, but where do you draw the lines? Once you open that can of worms, that Pandora's box, you don't have any standing any left. You don't, left anymore. You don't have any clout anymore to say, no, we draw the line here where I say so. No, because there's always somebody else that says, no, we'll just make it over here. And you have to comply. You have to capitulate to that because you already confessed and admit openly that you are not an egalitarian. You don't believe in full freedom. So let's supplant the term equality with absolute universal freedom, because that's what I'm talking about here. That none of us are born beholden to the money masters of misery. Okay, that's the way it has to be, and eventually that's coming. And these evil people at top know they've already lost the battle, but they are desperately trying to keep the public at large from knowing that they know. You see, they don't want you psychologically as ghastly, so they want to keep you thinking that they somehow think they're going to win. So keep jumping on this bandwagon. It's like this game, this horrible game that people say, "Oh no, just get on it, get on the bandwagon." I mean, I'm so turned off. I want to run, not walk away from this scene. This game is rigged. Nobody can deny it. And I don't want to play. And a lot of really decent, upright people out there don't want to play. And a lot of them are subjected to poverty and being downtrodden and great adversity, which can be a beautiful thing. Like King Solomon said, he said, look, wealth can be a great snare to the soul of a young man because it warps his values. It twists and it just confuses everything in his mind. So he doesn't understand that this is really an anathema to God, this thing we call money, that we can't serve two masters. It's nice in theory to think that the answer is that simple, to just jump on the bandwagon if you're a good, decent, upright person, make a lot of bread, and then you can give all you want to charity, knowing the system is utterly busted and broken, and if we don't fundamentally fix it at its core, at its root, then it's just a leaking sieve. It's like a giant hole in your gas tank. You keep putting more gas in it, and the hole just erodes. And people say, well, the answer is just put the gas in faster and flood it. And, you know, if you put it in really, really fast, you'll never run out of gas, right? This whole debt thing, right, as an analogy to that. But you know, logically speaking, intellectually speaking, that's a stupid argument, and it'll never work. But yet people keep doing it. They walk around with the bread. They're all flush in money, but they don't talk about the national debt and what are the effects of the national debt. They talk about free market, Alex Jones, but he doesn't explain that to you and explain how 2008 was not. What would have been the effect of 2008 if we didn't bail out these banksters that deliberately, okay, intentionally, obviously overextended themselves. They dumped all this money on the housing market, greatly increasing your cost of housing, that tax on you, okay? So it doesn't matter if it's coming from a private entity or a public entity, government or private sector. I mean, if it feels identical, it's identical. It walks like a duck, quacks like a duck. That's what you got going on. It's called burden. It's called tyranny, and it's not fun. Okay, and I'm desperately fighting for a better world. And if I reach one or two people, and they reach one or two people, you see, it's like leaven in the dough. Eventually, it spreads through. But I've got to contribute here. This is what I'm doing for humanity. I could go out and make $10 trillion. I could make a billion trillion. Okay, I could make $1 trillion. Okay, and I could give it all to charity and give it all to the poor. Guess what? In no time at all the problems would just raise their ugly head. Why? Because these are what the controllers are doing, the grand puppeteers at the top. They don't want the people free at large. They don't want you to understand. They want you disempowered. They want you anti-intellectual. They want you stupid. You understand? And as long as you're confused and they can keep throwing mud in the water, and you ever think how easy it is to just walk up to a clear blue lake and just grab a blob of mud and throw it in the water? That's how they do it. It's really easy. They use the mainstream media, okay, who are supposed to be cutting edge educators, to confuse the issues and not explain. They're utterly remiss at explaining economic issues to people. They don't talk about supply and demand. Do they talk about progress relative to supply and demand? How it's supposed to work? I mean, if the Federal Reserve has an infinite supply of money, and our government, who's supposed to be united, can just print at will and just say, we need more money. I need more money. Then give me my share. Send it this way. Yeah, I mean, if we're just going to be in debt forever here and it's just going to increase, then let's level the playing field. Just hand it out. Because you think we need any of you people, any of you politicians? You think the world's not going to go on basically as it is all along? Okay, no, the world's going to go on fine without any of us. I'm under no illusions. Okay, and you need to not be. I'm speaking really to devilish forces that maybe not even know they're under the spell of these devilish forces. Okay, how can anybody be rich in perpetuity? All this hereditary wealth I'm talking about. We just leave it to our lineage, right? The Rothschilds or Rockefeller types, all these uber wealthy people, the owners of the Federal Reserve Bank, okay? All these people that are deeply ensconced in the World Bank, all these kind of types, the money printing class. Okay, these are the people, I mean, they don't understand. These people are under the spell of evil. If they're opposed to freedom for humanity, okay, then they are opposed to God. They are working for Satan by default. You understand? So it's critical that everybody start understanding basic, rudimentary, fundamental, just, 2 plus 2, the nuts and bolts of economic principles here. That's it. And it's so simple. I'm not trying to talk over anybody's head. I'm ready to explain it to a little child that'll understand it. Understand, well, hey, my gum was, started at 50 cents and then it went to 40 cents and then it went to 30 cents and then it went to 20 cents. But then all of a sudden it started going back up. What happened here? Well, could it be somebody bought out the competition? And then they started fixing the prices. They said, well, there's no more competition. If people want to chew gum, I'm going to charge it. And then the kid says, oh, now I understand. It's like a monopoly. It's subterfuge. It's kind of hidden. Anyhow, but you understand that the child understands why it went up. Or you could tell the child, well, look, there's the other kind of supply and demand here, where that's free market, and what happens is your gum was 50 cents and then it went to 60 cents because there was a fire at the gum factory. And so temporarily, until they rebuild the factory, and as a chewer of gum, that's why the factory exists, because you chew gum, they need you to fund the repair, to rebuild the gum factory after the fire. You understand? So temporarily. But as soon as the gum factory is rebuilt, your gum's going to go back to 50 cents. You understand? That's supply and demand. And then as the equipment improves, the technology, the industrial age kicks in, and all this equipment, robotics, automation, all this stuff, your gum's going to go down to 40. And then as we get more technology, go down to 30. We need less labor in there. Our cost of producing the gum goes down 20. And then, well, how low is it going to go? I mean, my gum money has just gone through the roof, right? Because you look at it like that. My gum relative to this commodity or this service, then the worth of my currency has gone up. And you can look at it like worth of services, but there's manipulation in the services industry. You've got all these guilds out there, right? Well, this industry wants to be unionized, so they're going to make damn sure they get a fair pay. But then you understand that ensures that other people, if they don't get a fair pay, then they're not going to keep up. These people can buy stuff that they can't buy. They can go out and buy those houses, but the guy that didn't demand a union can't do it. So the plumbers, you understand, they all work together. If you're a contractor, you got to get the license, because the vast majority of plumbers are working under a licensed contractor, and they're just getting paid probably minimum wage or above. So you understand, but the plumber himself, he's going to, I don't know, different states might be different, but in California it's probably about $100 an hour. Just like the auto shops, they can charge even more. I mean, it might be $150 an hour now or more. There's no holds barred in some pricing in some industries. I don't know how they get away with it, but they've got proprietary equipment, software, and stuff like that, computer software for diagnostics on your automobile and all this stuff. But everybody knows that's how it is. And look at the medical field, that these people are getting a lot of money, some of them. Doctors, and a lot of them are whisked away from the drug companies because they'll make more money by peddling drugs for the pharmaceutical companies, right? We all know that. So people are making a lot of money. People are making a lot of money in the entertainment business, huge business, right? And we think in the scheme of things, how important is that? I mean, who's doing the work out there? Are people building your houses and they can't afford to be homeowners? How does that make sense? How is that logical? How is that prudent? How is that supply and demand, free market capitalism at work? And how does that, relate to progress? How is that any progress? And why aren't we demanding progress? What is progress in terms of economics, supply and demand capitalism, free market, all this stuff? People got to talk about it. What it means is that you get more and more free, okay? And even if we didn't believe in this, even if you just took all those benefits of progress away from industrialization, robotics, our work gets easier and easier. A good analogy is the farmer with the combine. He used to need, hundreds of men with ox and plow to achieve the same ability to cultivate his field and to harvest the field, right? He used to need a hell of a lot more manpower. We don't need it. You understand how that works? So, I mean, it's not really difficult to understand. A child can understand these things. But even if you took all those factors away and you just looked at things organically through God's eyes, I mean, cut to the chase here. People want to get into economic discussion with them, lay some ground rules with you. If they want to get into economic discussion,